I remember my first case. A rainy November night in some upper-class suburb, somewhere in Portland. The rain battered down on our windshield as we calmly rounded the corner, to the commotion, outside the house. The glow of red and blue sirens illuminated the road and the houses, and a small, neighbourly crowd teetered on the edge of the yellow crime scene tape, craning their necks to try and get a look. We pulled up nearby, not too close that we attracted attention, but near enough to look of some importance. Me and my partner walked confidently over to the drenched officer who stood holding off the perimeter. He stopped us in our tracks, placing his hand on my chest. I say nothing and deliberately move his hand off my chest before showing him my FBI badge. He lets us in and I smirk to myself. Fakes. We walk up the path towards the front door of the house. The neighbourhood looks quiet and uneventful. What could have possibly happened here that merited such a heavy cordon, and the crowds? We were shown in by another officer. This one looked pretty distraught. We are shown into the house and directed to the kitchen where an old man was sat, aggressively talking to a few officers and a detective. We were introduced to the detective, who was head of the investigation, and he filled us in on some of the details. He said a neighbour had heard some violent bangs and the police were called. An officer showed up to check on the disturbances and found the old woman, Mathilda Horton, or what was left of her, on the living room floor. Her husband, Martin, was crouched over her body. He immediately arrested Martin, and Martin was viciously arguing his innocence, claiming it was a painting above the fireplace. Me and my partner glanced over. Above the fireplace and the mantelpiece was a large portrait painting set in a heavy gilt frame upon the wall. I excused myself from the officers and left my partner to liaise with them whilst I took a closer look at the painting. It was an oil painting. I was unsure what it was painted on, but it wasn't canvas. It was a Baroque-style painting of a young man, his square and defined features disappearing into the shadows of the background, his face inexperienced and innocent, yet sharp, as if he himself was watching the viewer, judging their appeal. It was a creepy painting, that couldn't be denied. I shuddered slightly for some unknown reason. The face's pose contorted and stretched as shadows from the fire danced across it. I turned around and glanced at Mathilda's body. They were still photographing it. What a bloody mess. The trail of blood from the fireplace onto the floor and then to the top half of her body. There was no bottom half to be found. It was just a mush. Her face was all clawed up too, like she'd been mauled by a bear. I went back to the table and my partner took me to one side. "What do you think of that painting?" she said to me. "It's a bit creepy, but nothing seems unnatural," I said. "The old man claims the painting did it." "How?" I asked. In his words, the painting enchanted his wife, and when she got close, it attacked. I went to open my mouth, but my partner, she beat me to the punch. I have no idea how a painting attacked an old woman like this, and obviously neither do the police. They're taking him in. We thought that was it, not our sort of case, a clear-cut homicide, but things got a little weirder. We thanked the detective in charge and were about to leave when I noticed a photograph on the wall next to the stairs. It was pure luck that I noticed it, otherwise that painting would be cursing more unfortunate owners. The photograph showed the deceased Mathilda sat on her couch with a young girl on her lap, probably her granddaughter or some other young relation. In the background, above the mantelpiece, was a large Baroque-style painting in a heavy gilt frame. The portrait itself, this time of an old man, an ancient man, his face aged and weathered, his long tatty grey beard down past his chest and disappearing into the shadows. It was the same painting. The pose was the same. The man in the painting even looked the same apart from the obvious aging. The only thing different was that the eyes were clearly looking at the back of Mathilda, not staring straight ahead as they had been when I looked. I unhooked the photograph from the wall and rushed back to the kitchen without telling my partner. They were just beginning to escort Martin out and I stopped them, exclaiming I needed to ask Martin a few questions. Privately. Me and Martin were sat around the table. I showed him the photo and he reached a wrinkly hand out and stroked his deceased wife's smiling face. A tear crept down his face as he murmured, "Mathilda." "Where is this painting?" I asked, pointing at the portrait of the young man. "It's over there, above the mantelpiece." I believed him, but I needed to be sure. "Do you think I'm stupid? Where is this painting?" "I don't think you're stupid, Agent," he replies with a crazed look in his eyes. "I think you believe me," he says, leaning across the table and looking straight into my eyes. I keep it cool, glaring back at him unfazed. "So, if we searched your house, would we find this painting? If we asked your friends or family, would they say you replaced it or sold it?" I said forcefully. He grinned at me. "By all means, search for it, but you and I both know you won't find anything." I thanked him but gave him no hope in my farewell. Next, I went straight to the detective. "We're going to need to take the painting for analysis," I said firmly. He looked at me funny. "You what? You don't seriously believe a word he's saying, do you?" I had to think on the spot. "Not really. I think this case is pretty cut and dry, but after closer inspection, I believe this painting may belong to some stolen from a museum in Chicago back in the 1980s. He nodded slowly. "2 cases in one, eh? Well, we won't be needing it. Help yourself." My partner went to the car to collect a contaminant chest, a large, plain, silver chest decorated under a foam inlay with religious symbols and spells. We placed a painting inside and sealed it. Once again, I thanked the detective for his cooperation and we left, through the back, so as not to draw attention from the small crowd. We made the 12-hour drive back to our headquarters, deep in an undisclosed American desert. Once secured in the warehouse under case name T0003-A233, the tests were conducted. It started off with X-ray scans which revealed that the canvas the portrait was painted on was human skin, which may explain the cursed properties the object seemed to have. We carbon dated the painting to the early 1700s and the paint was manufactured by H.O. Wilson and Sons, a London-based art supply company from the era. After these tests, we wanted to study if the painting would revert back into an old man. We held it in confinement on a constant video feed with a thermal imaging camera and an infrared camera. Over 12 years passed from that point, and I was a much more seasoned agent by then. By this point, the painting had aged as a normal human would and was now beginning to show grey hair and wrinkled features. During the aging process, nothing was picked up on the thermal imaging camera or the infrared camera. No human is allowed to enter the isolation unit T0003-A233 is located in, and as such, we have no idea how it kills. There is a plan to eventually introduce a carcass into the unit to see if it takes a bait. However, this is still in the development stages. Our researchers have been looking into the history and provenance of the work. Who was the artist? Who did the skin belong to? Who is the man in the portrait? Why was skin chosen to be the canvas? Where is the painting from, and why doesn't the skin rot? Their findings can be read in log file T0003-A233, History/Provenance. As for Martin, he was killed by lethal injection in 2011. He was innocent, but a sacrifice had to be made. We, as an organisation, do not exist, and If the world found out about the painting or any other artefacts or phenomena, the outcome would be catastrophic. As such, Martin's death was for a greater cause. Before his death, he often rambled about the painting and the 2 FBI agents, and his last words even referred to the cursed portrait. That painting took my Mathilda's last years away. Everyone thought that he just meant it killed her. We knew what it meant. It sucked her life away to regain youth. No one corroborated Martin's story. A room full of police officers, detectives, and forensic investigators won't come forward and admit 2 phantom FBI agents compromised the crime scene and stole a piece of evidence right under their noses. Hey guys, Brothers Jackson here. Oh, I hit my microphone. That was something a little bit different. I hope you enjoyed listening to it, and if anyone's listening this far, I want to know, would you like to hear me narrate the log files for the history and the provenance, or just like the whole log file? It's quite like technical more than like descriptive, but if you really enjoyed this story and you want to know more about the actual item in question, maybe some of the other cases or people it has affected throughout history, let me know in the comments below and I will get that sorted. Also, if you liked that type of story, I have another one. So if you want to hear like a case from a subjective personal point of view, let me know and I'll narrate that as well. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more. Peace out guys, thank you.